and welcome to Covering Wattpad. My name is Pranisha Rizal, and I will be covering Forbidden by Black Beauty for one last time. The part 1 of the video and the link to the book would be in the description below. Before I start this video, I would like to tell you guys that I will be covering chapter 3 of this book as the author asked me to skip chapter 2. I did read it on my own, so there's no worry, but do check the book out on your own. Now, let's go on with the video. Chapter 3. The wind rushes past me, the hair on my back tingling as I speed my way down the narrow aisle. The branches of trees brush against my hands, the crisp leaves crumbling under my bare feet. From the corner of my eye, I spot Eric, running alongside me. His stance is majestic, limbs moving smoothly as he continues to sprint. If it weren't for him, I would have never made myself learn the art of running or the very cause of its existence. Eric and Jessica are like so cute together, they're made for each other, unlike Danielle. Danielle is he's such a jerk. I hate him. I know Daniel hasn't been in this chapter, but I just want to complain about him. I just hate him that much. I'm sorry. Pulling myself to a halt, my eyes focus on the mass of people hurtling around, mingling together, trying to form a circle. Their hushed gossip is clearly conceived with the movements of bodies and feet. Warmth, warmth spreads through my body, an electric impulse rising in my veins as I feel a hand taking hold of mine. I look down to see Eric's sturdy hands wrapped around my tiny one. Like, seriously, they're so cute together. Like, they are a much better couple, and I would be so mad if Daniel ends up with Jessica instead of Eric. Daniel doesn't even deserve Jessica. There is something going on. Let's go and see for ourselves, Eric whispers in my ears. Of course he whispers. Of course. We make our way through the crowd, the task being easy as the people part on their own, well aware of the positions of the society. On any occasion, I would love to associate and mix with the people, their very soul and their lives of a common lineage. I could chat with these people for hours long and yet not feel any kind of difference between myself and them, because hierarchy is never a potential enough reason to give to people for the way they are drawn to the lens of persecution. It is but a potential enough of a weapon that, if put to use maddening, maddeningly, sorry if I pronounced that wrong enough, could destroy a whole legacy without letting a single piece fall out of equation. That's true. But today is not one of those days. Today is not the day for rebellion. The curiosity bubbling inside me gets stronger, forcing me to move farther, take a good look at the controversy that surprisingly did manage to make all the lips turn. The crowd was becoming thinner, parting away. So slowly, the sight of the very argument came in front of my eyes. Confusion outspreads my mind, creasing the lines between my eyebrows, making my head go light. Tied to a wooden pole, a man sits on a wooden rostrum, wide enough to hold 3 men together. He is half naked. Ah! His sculpted chest still in motion, glistening with sweat as the sun stands in front of his eyes. His eyes twitch, barely open as the sunlight falls straight into those orbs. Orbs? Do you mean eyes? I mean, orbs is my biggest pet peeve of Wattpad, but then again, it's a literary language. But I'm sick of people referring to eyes as orbs. But I think a lot of people like it, so I guess you do you. Looking closely, I find no reason for his pain. He whirls his head in my direction. His brown eyes greet me, identical to on my own. My gaze meets the ground, my legs shifting uncomfortably as I feel the strange, tingling sensation on my back, the burning feeling of his eyes on me. Scattered on the ground, it immediately catches my eye. The horror registers through me as I see the piece of cloth ripped to shreds. The crimson spots on his white hue do nothing to help. My body shivers, my legs taking a step back from the ground. Eric's hand stops me from moving any further, pulling my body to stop harshly. Eric is such a nice guy, like, I like him so much. Seriously, get me a man like Eric. I mean, he's not my type, but he is the best one for Jessica. Fluttering, my eyelids close. I try to shake the image away from my mind, but the darkness of my sight comes to delirious thoughts of my teen brow's mind. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong as well. The pictures are so vivid that it takes my breath away, making my body tremble, my breath quickening, my throat going sore from a dull ache that stops me from breathing, resembling the very nature of time that never did learn to go backward, to save what had been once ours, the by the decision of destiny, becomes someone else's, to cherish what has been lost to fickle ignorance, to protect what has been put forward to the hands of brutal humanity and behavior. The image never turns its back on me. This is turning very sad. Looking up, I find him staring at me. I feel Eric's grip tightening around my arms as he moves in front of me. A few men come from the other side. The shuffling of their feet beat louder than the murmurs. Wedged between them is a finely dressed man, his hands held behind his back. The men take their places behind the rostrum, while their leader, I assume from his get-up, steps upon the scaffold. Our town has discovered a traitor. For months he's been hiding in our midst, trying to fail the council's forthcoming plans of finding a new land outside the thick woods of the forest. He has breached our trust, and thereby is entitled to strict punishment for opposing the council's decision. Not just that, but the man has attempted to several thefts from the council people's houses, and has tried to imply his opinions superior to the council's. It is now your decision to make as what to do with this criminal. Shall he be punished or set free? The leader says. The crowd goes silent, thoughtfulness visible on their faces. Then out of nowhere an uproar sounds. Punish him! Everyone joins along, chanting the same sentence over and over again in a hoarse melody. Tuning out the voices, I keep my focus on the authoritative man. I notice his lips slightly curling upwards, and I know the battle has been lost. You're right. He needs to be punished for his vicious deeds. His punishment will become an example to all the others who decided to go against rules or the wise judgments made for the goodwill of others, he declares. Stop! I think he shall be let go, a tiny voice comes from behind. My head snaps back to the person who made the decision to go against the council's security man. There, standing away is in the middle of young women she stands, a girl no more than 16, with her blue eyes sparkling with uneasiness and her brown hair cascading down her shoulders. At that moment I can conjure up is the courage to join the little girl, but something about Eric's rigid grip on me wants me not to. And why is that, little one? He asks. Our town is an independent one, and our council is kind. Every person here is given the right to vote out their thoughts and opinions with freedom. This man here, I believe, was just using his freedom. I think his foolish beliefs meant no harm to our land or people. Thus, we should not punish him in such a cruel manner, but rather try to make him understand the rightfulness of our councilmen in a gentle manner, she says. That is so true. My heart crazily beats in my chest, anticipating the outcome of the situation. I contemplate the man thoroughly. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. He appears to be speculating the situation. Very well explained, he responds. A sigh of relief escapes my lips. Now assured, I smile slightly and glance at Eric, who seems frozen. His expression hardens as he continues to stare forth at the man. However, the man confesses. The doubt still lingers in my mind. Eric heavily breathes, and the dread comes crashing down on me. I am a fool. How could I have possibly believed that everything will supposedly turn out good? My head flies back to the man, whose expression is neutral, but the face does not delude me. I can see that the slight grin marking his face. A complacency, sorry if I pronounced that wrong again, of an unchanged victory. Assuming my assumptions are accurate, I reckon that at the end of the day, it is going to be the society's decision to decide what is right and what is wrong. I'm going to ask you one more time, though. I'd like to phrase my question more factually. Who agrees with this girl? Anyone? Nobody dares to raise their arm or mumble a plea of objection. Looking back, I noticed the girl on the verge of tears. No one, he proclaims. Come here, little one. Gulping around, she takes slow steps forward. Her long brown hair bounces along with her. Nearing me, she stops and turns her head towards me. Her pleading eyes, she begs me to help her. Knowing well my assistance is of no use, I feel powerless against her gaze. In a quick moment she turns her head away, takes a step further to the man. The man runs a quick look at her as if he was analyzing a piece of some puzzle. God, I hope this man doesn't do anything disgusting. His eyes, once again agile, turns ferocious. A loud snarl escapes my lips, but Eric takes a tough hold on my hand, making me unable to move. What is your name, little girl? He asks. Lila Green, sir, she replies. It's all right to voice out your viewpoints, Lila, but sometimes you have to be careful about what you speak. As much as I'd like to let you go, I unfortunately cannot. My apologies to you, but you'll have to be punished along with this backstabber. Seriously? Silence. All I hear is silence. The heavy pain in my ears makes it overwhelming to listen to the melody of quietness. Eric, I whispered, tugging at his arm. Silence. It is confirmed then. You'll be whipped ten times. As for this rat, his penalty will be innumerous whips until his breath halts. Shit. He brings forth hands that were behind his back all the time. In his arms he holds a long black lash. Hold the girl down, he orders his men. Two men march forward. Seizing the girl by the arms, they push her towards the ground, making her collapse on the rough pebbles. She releases a winch as the fine sand scrapes her elbows and knees. The man approaches Lila, his leash dangling behind him on the soil. He raises his arms in the air, the leash slashing through the atmosphere. I sense warm hands moving to cover my eyes before the bell strikes. The loud sound of a strike is followed by screams and sobs. My body revulses and shudders, my lips parting halfway, my spine going still every time I listen to sizzling sound of the whip coming in contact with skin, followed by wails. Everything will be all right. Everything will be all right. Changing those words like a mantra, I pray for the girl Lila. And soon enough the voices stop, leaving the silence to linger. There is no noise of harness, nor the tantalizing moans of grief hanging around, waiting to get attention to themselves. The soft rustling of the leaves on the ground as the wind shifts, making my hair blow on my face, is only the volume present. Cold harasses my eyes, the hands leaving my face. Opening my eyelids, the disgusting man welcomes my sight, with his belt proudly held in his arm, with his hand, standing in front of me. He looks ominous, with a bloody strap hanging at his side. Lila's blood. Do we have a problem here, miss? He asks. His question is directed towards me, but I do not find the will to answer back, even to be reasonable with my sentences. The eloquence is gone away as I gape at the ungodly beast of a man. No, there isn't a problem, Eric says. And who are you to decide that for the fair maiden? I'm Eric Whiteside, and I believe you know very well who I am. As for her, she's a good friend of Mr. Carson. I see. How disappointed Mr. Carson will be if he comes to know that his maiden is roaming around with another man in broad daylight. I beg your pardon, but but shall you know that my courtship with Miss Blackburn is platonic, and that I wouldn't hear a word about her. As for Mr. Carson, he is very well aware of our relationship. God damn, Eric, make that man shut up. You know what? Kill that man. I don't care. I hate that man. His lips open. His lips part open. Speechless, he stands, unable to conjure up something that will gain him triumph. Furthermore, I would like to have you know that Miss Blackburn is not meant to be your matter of concern, nor that poor girl Lila. You don't want to meddle with Miss Blackburn, or the consequences of your actions will not be great, Eric whispers. Damn, Eric! I freeze, snapped out of my hazy state, realizing what the conversation has been about. I take a step back, away from the man. Perhaps, he replies curtly. His brows furrow, his eyes dilating, a thin line pressed on his lips. He looks at me, then at Eric. My whole sorry about that. My whole body jolts awake in terror as he look at that look in his eyes. Feeling the vulnerability of my state, I internally collapse, recollecting his former intentions. That look in his eyes did not contain a promise I couldn't comprehend. Nodding curtly in my direction, he turns and walks away to the platform. He bends towards an unconscious Lila and gestures his men to take her away. Pulling her back up, they drag her away from the commotion. Facing the crowd, the man says, Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Clark, the new official of this town. In my opinion, this town has given no punishment to anyone, and that has made you all so brave. From now on, there will be sentences given to those who oppose the laws. The rules are very familiar, yet hard to remember, but if phrased the right way, it won't be troubling anymore. Deny heeding of my words, 5 whips will accompany you. For starting out your own mischievous beliefs, 10 whips it is. Disobeying or disrespecting Miss Blackburn there will earn you 15 whips. Disregard or insult a council member, that will land you 20 whips. Wait, what? And lastly, my favorite. Despite the council and nothing but pain, Worthing will come to you. Disrupted thoughts roll over myself. I am sure that no such rule has been made on my name. I stare at him, confused by. He notices me, peeking at him, and smiles wickedly before mouthing, For the beauty, I must say. That man is disgusting. Anger and hatred outrage me, ready to burst through my core as I think of the leech's words. It not only disgusts me, but repels my inner self too. The man who tied to post glanced at me and spoke up. She is against the council too. Why is she not being sentenced to torture? Jessica has no issue with the judgment of the council. Stop with your lies. You can't escape this, Eric says. God forbid me if I'm incorrect. But weren't you trying to break into her house early morning? I saw that coat of yours while you were running away. Am I right? I stay there, unmoving, applauded by the recent string of confessions that have been hurling themselves at my path since morning. Is that man saying the truth, Miss Blackburn? Clark inquires. Say no. Eric whispers with clenched teeth. No, he is lying, I say. But the man mumbles but is cut off by Clark. Enough, you fool. Blaming Miss Blackburn will get you nowhere. On the contrary, I have called a greater punishment upon you by disgracing her. Lies! I've seen what the woman does. She's the anxious pap. He is cut off by a loud He is cut off as a loud slapping sound resonates in my ears. My whole body freezes down, the knot in my stomach tightening rapidly, the bile threatening to rush down through my mouth. I feel the muscles in my eyes stretch, pain overpowering me as my nails dug deeper into my hands. Eric is standing there, in front of the man, a frightening aura radiating off him. The muscles in his back are stretched, visible to the plain sight as they bulge out from his thin shirt. He slapped the man. Now I have proof. You are the one who's been trying to break into her house for days. The one who keeps trying to break her windows. The one who has been eavesdropping on her, putting her privacy in jeopardy, he growls. Turning towards Clark. Clark, as a second-ranked noble of the council, I order you to make this man suffer. Not for going through the council's data, but violating Miss Blackburn's property too. Clark nods his head, his eyes sparkling in amusement as he widens his eyes at me. And may I know what ancient paper he talking about, he asks. Taking it as my cue to speak, I look straight in his chocolate brown eyes, with lashes so long that could have been easily mistaken for an angel's. If it weren't for the scary shadow on his face or the deadly glisten in his eyes, he couldn't he could have been comprehended as a good-looking man. He must have misinterpreted my collection of biographies and literary works of ancient times. I can show you the books if you are interested, I state. Oh no need for that, he assures me, his previous enthusiasm disintegrating. Blood leaves my body, my eyes finding him standing in the far corner of the expanse, looking at me as if I'm the only person visible to his eyes. His lips course, sorry about the wrong pronunciation, my thoughts and actions, making me a slave of his command. Looking away, I falsify a yawn. We're done here. I will like to leave. I am exhausted. Let's go home then, Eric says. Glancing at us, Clark indicates the people to make a route for us. They part away, distancing themselves from us, as if we are some virally infected patients. Bring hot water and throw it over him to ready him for the whipping. His screams should echo in the whole town throughout the day. Clark orders his men. Leaving the upheaval, I turned towards the location of my house with Eric following behind. I kept my gaze consistent, staying ahead of me. Jessica, wait, he pants. I don't stop, knowing well where the conversation will lead. The greenery calms me, keeping the ferocity of the nature alive. Midway, I fall dead in my tracks. I listen to people speaking about Lila rushing to her house, which, according to them, is nearby. Catching up with me, Eric restrains me from going anywhere. I look at him, irritated. I've never seen those men before. Who are they? I ask him. Those men have come from another town, facing the fears of wilderness to discover a new land. Daniel will be keeping them as guests. He answers. I have my suspicions on the guests. They don't seem very friendly. They aren't. I thought so. What was the ancient paper that man was talking about? He questions, raising an eyebrow at me. It's no time to discuss such an insignificant matter. I want to see Lila. We should go. This chapter made me so mad. And I feel like Clark seems to be interested in Jessica. Plus he's so damn disgusting. The society is disgusting. The people there are very egotistic. It's a good thing that the author is making the characters unlikable at some points. Every character has their own flaws. Jessica is kind of a coward who cannot speak up for what she thinks is right. And when she is about to do, Eric stops her from doing so. And I know that it is for protecting her, but then again, he stops her from standing up for what is right. So I really like this book so far. My overall thoughts.